All right. So Washington, D.C. police, they need your help. They tweeted out this surveillance video because it is really important that they get to this guy who you see on your screen. He is the person of interest in connection to the murder of a family and their housekeeper. Just an incredibly tragic situation blocks away from where Vice President Joe Biden lives. Police believe the culprit set the family's multi-million-dollar mansion on fire after the killings. This happened last Thursday afternoon, and we now know more about the four people that were killed. Dad, Savas Savopoulos, according to his Facebook page, is the CEO of a hedge fund firm. That is him right there with his wife, the mom, Amy, described by the Washington Post as a socialite. Their housekeeper, 57-year-old Veralicia Figueroa. And this crime is so heinous, but what makes it even more heinous is that whoever did this also killed their 10-year-old son, Philip. So let's get right to DailyMail.com reporter Chris Spargo to talk more about this. Chris, thanks for being here. Such an incredibly tragic situation to me, Chris, and I want you to weigh on this. This does not seem like a random crime, especially since there were so many odd things that were happening before their bodies were found on that Thursday. I want to play for you some sound from one of the family's part-time housekeepers. She said 3 hours before the house was in flames, Chris, she got a text from Amy Savopoulos, the mom. Take a listen.
Around 9:56 a.m. and they say, I want to make sure you do not come today. I don't know why. I don't understand why. God saved my life.
From what you've been reading and what you know, Chris, do we have any indication as to whether or not this was a random act or if this was deliberate, if they were deliberately focused on?
Well, I mean, it's sounding now more like it had been going on prior to the fire. The housekeeper who you just heard, the day before had been working with the husband. They are actually opening up a martial arts center that Friday, and she had been working with him at the center, and he'd said that on Wednesday night his wife was going out. Wednesday night, she gets a call from him. She said he sounded very, very tense. He said his wife was sick in bed, his son suffered from a go-kart accident, and that the other maid was sleeping over to help. Now, this housekeeper said that other housekeeper never slept over, so that just seemed weird to begin with. And then when they said, don't come in, that seemed weird, because in the 20 years she had been there, they'd never once asked that. So the next morning, she calls to see if the wife is okay. The wife does not answer her phone, but then shortly after, about 3 hours before the fire, she gets a text from the wife, again making sure she's not going to come to the house that day.
And let's talk about this blue Porsche that was found that belonged to the couple. The Porsche was torched. It was found away from the home. And police believe that the suspect may have been driving the Porsche even on Wednesday. What more do you know about this car?
Yeah, so neighbors are saying that they think they saw the car racing around the neighborhood on Wednesday. Now police are really desperately trying to find anyone who saw the car on Thursday. They believe that whoever did this took the Porsche, they drove about 10 miles away to a church parking lot in Maryland, and then intentionally set it on fire and ran away.
So if this were true, do police believe that that the suspect may have been holding this family hostage for 2 days until their bodies were found?
Police are really not going that far yet. Again, they're not even really saying much about the text messages and the voicemails that the other housekeeper received, but it is somewhat seeming more and more likely given the events that happened before.
Right, because if they're finding the bodies on Thursday, yet they're indicating that that car was being driven around by the suspect on Wednesday, that seems to me like something was happening over the course of 2 days, but of course, no confirmation on that. We don't know. Let's take a look again at that surveillance video. Can you help us understand, Chris, what we're seeing here? Is he carrying a jug or a plastic bag? I can't quite make it out.
That's what people are really trying to figure out, too, because he's moving so rapidly in this surveillance video, really just running away as fast as he can. They can't really tell, but he's definitely holding something that appears to be some sort of bag or jug, which likely has a key piece of evidence in it.
And of course, the family also have two teenage daughters who were not at the home and who are hopefully safe and sound. I can only imagine what they are going through right now, having lost their mother, their father, and their brother. Such an awful, tragic situation. I really hope they find the person or persons, if in fact it was more than one person who did this. Chris, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.